Since 1985, the concept of child advocacy centers has been growing across the nation. In 2002, Lieutenant Bill Graham requested a meeting with community professionals to discuss how Waukesha County could better serve victims of child abuse and their families. After 4 years of discussion and planning, Family Service of Waukesha opened the C.A.R.E Center, teaming its newest program with Children's Place, an existing program that provides therapy services to children who have experienced trauma. The C.A.R.E Center was designed to provide forensic interviews, medical exams, family advocacy, and community mental health referrals for victims of physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, witnesses to domestic violence, or any other traumatic event.
A group of us worked together to put together the protocols to decide where we were going to have this location, how we were going to set everything up. And it really was a joint effort, and that is the goal of the Child Advocacy Center movement, is to do these things as a team. Now, the Child Advocacy Center model does not seek to replace anybody else in the system. It is rather a resource for everyone. We still need the child protection workers at the Department of Human Services. We still need the law enforcement investigators. We still need the psychologists that specialize in dealing with the children. We still need the victim advocates from the Women's Center and other locations. We need all of those people. What the Child Advocacy Center does is bring all of them together, and we work as a multidisciplinary team, and we do the job a lot better than any of us ever did separately, but we don't replace anybody.
What I like about the C.A.R.E Center is that it's so convenient, and it's so nice that we can get the interview and the medical done in one location. It's much more efficient for my job, and it's a lot easier on the families because they don't have to travel to several different locations to meet with all these different agencies.
In Waukesha County, we, I believe, have a great benefit of doing joint investigations with law enforcement. Having both disciplines, human services along with law enforcement, and we do it jointly, prevents duplication of efforts, and we end up with a better product, basically in this case, of being able to thoroughly interview our victims, have it recorded forensically on the DVDs.
It's also nice because it's such a child-friendly environment that the child is so comfortable, and it puts them at ease, and they're able to speak more freely than they would at another location, let's say like at the police department.
By providing a child-friendly environment, the C.A.R.E Center offers a safe place where part of a child abuse investigation takes place. Typically, a family is greeted at the door by the family advocate.
And the family advocate who will be there to help the child and the family members understand what's going to happen in the process. A great deal of anxiety is generated by someone getting involved in the criminal justice system or the child protection system, and having someone there who will walk them through the process, explain what's going to happen, answer their questions, can really alleviate a lot of those fears.
When founding community members designed the C.A.R.E Center, they believed the community would be best served by a full-time forensic interviewer.
One of the other goals that the group had in mind when the C.A.R.E Center was put together was to address that not everyone in law enforcement and not everyone in child protection services is an expert. And having this team approach gives us a chance to learn from each other's experiences. It also provides a resource for the officer that maybe has limited experience in these type of cases, where they don't have to be an expert. They don't have to know how to interview a child forensically.
The actual definition of forensic interview is a fact-finding interview that's legally defensible in court. There are several reasons why we record interviews, and all children who come to the C.A.R.E Center, their statements or interviews are recorded onto DVD. One of the most important reasons why we record these interviews is that it minimizes the number of times children have to retell their story. And what we're able to do is I can actually sit in the interview room with the child. Other people involved in the investigation are able to observe the interview through a separate room. Recording onto DVD also will accurately reflect a child's demeanor during the interview. It will also accurately reflect the way I ask questions in a non-leading and open-ended fashion, and also shows exactly how the child responds to my questions and what their exact words are.
It is nice to have the victim tell the story only one time because you're reducing trauma to that victim, and why not record it with a nationally recognized interview system that is held up in court.
Having this audio-visual recording of the child's disclosure takes that uncertainty out of it, and it does cause cases to get resolved without the child ever taking the witness stand in many cases.
As part of the multidisciplinary team, Children's Hospital of Wisconsin has equipped a medical exam room at the CARE Center and provides medical staff to examine children when there are concerns of child abuse.
We know that a child's statement is the most important part of an investigation in a case of child sexual abuse. A physical exam can also help build your case. For instance, by doing an exam, we can look for medical findings that might confirm what the child has said happened. We're also able to collect an evidence kit, and we're also able to detect any infection the child may have acquired because of their contact. So the medical exam is really important in a sexual abuse investigation.
And there is a great benefit to the medical examination because both the child and the parents, the non-offending parent of the child, is going to have a lot of uncertainty about, is the child harmed? Is there some kind of physical damage that we should be worried about? That medical examination can give them a great deal of peace of mind.
We also do exams for physical abuse at the CARE Center. Seeing the injury, noting its size and shape and distribution and the severity, I can make a decision about whether this is likely an accidental injury or whether it's more likely inflicted. We also take pictures of the injuries at the time of the exam, and that way we preserve the appearance of the injury.
Because any of you who have investigated know that the child is going to be reluctant to just tell everything immediately. So it is a process, and the medical examination is part of that process.
Neglect is a unique challenge to investigators because it's the most common type of child abuse, but it's the hardest to prove. But by doing an exam, we can often determine a child's rate of growth over time, any untreated medical conditions like infections or dental caries, and we can find injuries that might indicate they're not being supervised properly. So even in cases of neglect, a physical exam can be really helpful.
The medical expert at the CARE Center can ascertain whether the explanation of the injuries match up to the injuries and make our case more sound.
And I believe that child abuse, not only is it unlawful, but it's a threat to a child's physical and emotional well-being. And a trip to the CARE Center helps ensure that those threats will be addressed and minimized.
Through these joint efforts, we end up with a much more informed assessment of the family and, I believe, a better outcome.
Finally, the CARE Center can make direct connections. It's the one-stop shop to get people connected to all of the different services that they may need. The CARE Center gets that direct connection to those things right there. They don't have to go knock on any other doors. They don't have to make any other phone calls. That is a tremendous help to the families that are struggling with this kind of abuse in their life. If we do our job right, working together and working with the CARE Center, we can prevent that in most cases, and that's our primary goal, is to do no more harm.